House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is in Taiwan.
That has sparked a lot of controversy and fierce pushback from the Chinese.
Not Asia, not any of the member states are interested in going to war. However, what we worry about are mistakes. The safety of our Filipino nationals in Taiwan becomes of primordial importance.
The Philippines occupies a pivotal role as the Achilles heel in China's strategic ambitions regarding Taiwan due to its strategic location and defense cooperation with the United States. Situated in close proximity to both Taiwan and the South China Sea, the Philippines serves as a critical barrier to China's plans for any potential military action against Taiwan. Control over major sea lanes crucial for naval operations, coupled with its mutual defense treaty with the United States, acts as a significant deterrent against Chinese aggression. Additionally, ongoing territorial disputes in the South China Sea have heightened tensions, prompting the Philippines to increase its maritime security capabilities and fortify defense alliances to safeguard its sovereignty. This defensive posture has diverted China's attention from Taiwan towards the Philippines, and with each passing day, China is getting distracted from its goal of invading Taiwan towards countering the resentment that it faces by the Philippines routinely. In our quest, we will deeply analyze how the Philippines has become the Achilles heel in China's plan to invade Taiwan.
我们坚持争取和平统一的前景，但绝不承诺放弃使用武力。
China's meteoric rise as a global economic powerhouse, often dubbed as a rising dragon, is evident by compelling statistics and notable examples. In terms of economic growth, China's GDP has experienced exponential growth over the past few decades, averaging around 9 to 10% annually from the late 1970s to the early 2010s. By 2020, China became the world's second largest economy, surpassing Japan, and has maintained this position since then. This rapid growth has lifted millions of people out of poverty, with China achieving remarkable progress in poverty alleviation, reducing its poverty rate from over 88% in 1981 to less than 1% in recent years. China's economic prowess is further exemplified by its global trade dominance. The country has been the world's largest exporter of goods since 2009, with a significant portion of global manufacturing shifting to China due to its competitive advantages in labor costs, infrastructure, and production capabilities. China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, launched in 2013, is a testament to its ambition to enhance connectivity and promote trade and investment across Asia, Africa, and Europe, further solidifying its status as a global economic leader. China's technological advancements have been remarkable, with Chinese companies emerging as leaders in various sectors such as telecommunications, e-commerce, and digital technology. Companies like Huawei, Alibaba, and Tencent have achieved global recognition for their innovative products and services, while China's investments in emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, 5G telecommunications, and renewable energy are positioning it at the forefront of technological innovation. On the military front, China has undertaken significant efforts to modernize its armed forces, investing heavily in advanced weaponry, naval capabilities, and space exploration. The country's defense budget has seen consistent growth, making it the second largest military spender globally. China's assertiveness in territorial disputes, particularly in the South China Sea, underscores its ambition to assert itself as a regional and global military power, further cementing its status as a rising dragon on the world stage. China's remarkable economic growth, technological advancements, and military modernization are compelling indicators of its ascent as a rising dragon, shaping the geopolitical landscape and redefining the balance of power in the 21st century. China's 100th Anniversary Plan 2049 refers to the goals and aspirations that China aims to achieve by the year 2049, which would mark the centennial anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China, PRC. This concept is often associated with China's vision for its future development and its evolving role on the global stage.
我们实现了第一个100年奋斗目标，在中华大地上全面建成了小康社会，历史性地解决了绝对贫困问题，正在意气风发、 向着全面建成社会主义现代化强国的第二个100年奋斗目标迈进。
For example, China has set ambitious economic targets as part of its 2 centenary goals and Made in China 2025 initiatives, aiming to double its 2010 GDP by 2020 and become a global leader in advanced manufacturing and technology by 2025. By extending this trajectory to 2049, China may seek to further enhance its economic dominance, achieve technological self-reliance, and elevate its status as a global superpower. By 2049, China may aspire to complete its military modernization efforts and establish itself as a preeminent military power capable of defending its sovereignty and projecting power globally.
同志们辛苦了！
Furthermore, China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, is a prominent example of its efforts to expand its influence and connectivity on a global scale. In 2049, China may seek to further consolidate its economic ties and geopolitical influence through BRI projects, infrastructure investments, and diplomatic engagements across regions. While these projections based on current trends and policies, they provide insights into potential areas of focus for China as it navigates towards its centennial anniversary in 2049.
世界好，中国才会好；中国好，世界会更好。通过共建“一带一路”，中国对外开放的大门越开越大。
China has traditionally seen Taiwan as a province that's separated from the mainland, with a goal to reunite the two by 2049. This ambition is fueled by China's aspiration to assert its global superpower status, strengthen its power base, and counter any external forces that might aim to limit China's growth. Taiwan's strategic maritime position is also of significant interest to China, as taking control of Taiwan would extend China's military reach and disrupt the U.S.'s geographical security strategy known as the Island Chain Strategy. Additionally, Taiwan's economy is highly compatible with that of the mainland, adding to China's interest. Next, we look at Macau, which was leased to Portugal in 1557 as a trading post in return for an annual symbolic rent of 500 tael. Despite being under Chinese sovereignty and authority, the Portuguese began to consider and administer Macau as if it were a colony. In 1999, it was returned to China and is now a special administrative region, SAR, of the People's Republic of China. The return was part of China's one country, two systems policy, which guarantees a high degree of autonomy for the regions for 50 years, with Beijing maintaining control of defense and foreign affairs.
澳门的明天一定会更加美好，一国两制事业一定更加辉煌。
Similarly, Hong Kong, a vibrant hub of Chinese culture and finance, was under British rule for many years until it rejoined China in 1997. The region of Hong Kong has been inhabited since the Old Stone Age, later becoming part of the Chinese Empire with its loose incorporation into the Qin dynasty, 221-206 BC. The return of Hong Kong to China in 1997 was under the same one country, two systems framework as Macau. However, in recent years, Beijing has tightened its control over Hong Kong, dimming hopes that the financial center will ever become a full democracy.
我要在此强调的是，香港、澳门回归祖国后，处理这两个特别行政区的事务，完全是中国内政，用不着任何外部势力指手画脚。
Looking to the future, China has outlined a policy of strategic patience towards its objective of reunification with Taiwan. While Beijing keeps the door open to peace, it warns it could be compelled to use force. China's Commerce Ministry has proposed building a specialized pilot free trade zone consisting of the Chinese mainland, Hong Kong, and Macau to deepen opening up and cooperation. It is quite likely that Beijing has a holistic plan of moving Macau Henkin Zone and Hong Kong Qianhai Zone toward a possible territorial merger. The protests in Hong Kong which began in 2019 in response to proposed extradition legislation, quickly evolved into a sweeping pro-democracy movement with millions of Hong Kong residents rallying to defend the city's autonomy and fundamental freedoms. This movement reflected deep-seated concerns over Beijing's encroachment on Hong Kong's governance and legal system. However, the situation escalated significantly following the imposition of a controversial national security law in June 2020 by China. This law, which criminalizes acts of secession, subversion, terrorism, and collusion with foreign forces, was met with vehement opposition, triggering widespread resentment and unrest among Hong Kong residents. The enforcement of this law led to a crackdown on dissent, with pro-democracy activists, journalists, and critics facing arrests and legal actions. Prominent figures like Joshua Wong and Jimmy Lai were among those prosecuted, and many others now live in fear of reprisals or engage in self-censorship due to the law's broad and ambiguous provisions. The erosion of freedom of expression, media independence, and civil liberties in Hong Kong has drawn international condemnation and are raising serious doubts about Hong Kong's future autonomy and status as a global financial hub. China's assertive territorial claims have backfired notably in the case of its skirmish with India, particularly seen in the aftermath of the Galwan Valley clash in June 2020. This clash sparked a violent confrontation between Indian and Chinese troops along the line of actual control (LAC) in the Himalayas, resulting in casualties on both sides. Subsequently, there was a significant backlash against China within India, with widespread public and governmental calls for boycotts of Chinese goods, protests outside Chinese diplomatic missions, and increased scrutiny of Chinese investments and business interests in India. The incident prompted India to reassess its strategic posture and defense capabilities along the border with China, accelerating infrastructure development, troop deployments, and coordination with regional allies to counter Chinese assertiveness. Internationally, the Galwan Valley clash drew attention to China's aggressive behavior and territorial expansionism, garnering expressions of solidarity with India from countries like the United States, Japan, Australia, and European nations. China is distracted from the vision of Deng Xiaoping's developmental philosophy: hide your ability, bide your time. Tensions in the South China Sea are indeed proving to be a significant distraction for China, diverting its attention, resources, and diplomatic efforts away from other strategic priorities. China's assertive actions in the region, such as constructing artificial islands, deploying military assets, and asserting territorial claims, have heightened tensions with neighboring countries and attracted increased international scrutiny. The ongoing disputes with countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia over territorial claims necessitate continuous diplomatic engagement and negotiation to manage tensions and prevent escalations, placing a considerable burden on Chinese diplomats and policymakers. Additionally, the presence of the United States and other Western powers conducting freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, in the South China Sea adds complexity, leading to periodic confrontations and diplomatic challenges for China. Given that the South China Sea is a crucial maritime trade route for China's trade flows, any disruptions due to heightened tensions or conflicts could adversely impact China's economy, requiring resources to ensure the security and stability of these vital trade routes. Despite having other strategic priorities like economic development and global influence, effectively managing tensions in the South China Sea remains a pressing challenge that demands significant attention and resources from China's leadership, highlighting the delicate balancing act they face in pursuing multiple objectives. China's proactive measures in the South China Sea, SCS, have undeniably resulted in a considerable redirection of its strategic attention. The rising strain in the SCS, especially due to China's creation of man-made islands and an increased military footprint, has called for a swift and strong reaction. This has led to a notable reallocation of resources and diplomatic endeavors to address the disputes in the SCS. This shift in attention is also noticeable in China's dealings with the Philippines. For example, China has shown discontent with the Philippines' military expansion on Mavalis, the most northern island of the Batanes province, which is a mere 88 miles from Taiwan's southern tip. However, this shift in attention towards the SCS has repercussions for China's stance towards Taiwan. While China persistently asserts sovereignty over Taiwan, the urgency of the SCS disputes has inevitably led to a relative shift of focus away from Taiwan. In response to China's actions, the Philippines has been compelled to strengthen its maritime security capabilities. This defensive approach is demonstrated by increased defense expenditure, with the Philippine government dedicating substantial resources to modernize its naval fleet and boost surveillance capabilities. The Philippines has also reinforced its defense alliances in response to China's proactive behavior, enhanced defense collaboration with traditional allies, especially the United States and Japan, further underscores the defensive stance adopted by the Philippines. Joint military drills, intelligence exchange agreements, and capacity-building initiatives are concrete examples of this cooperative approach to bolstering regional security. Furthermore, the Philippines has embarked on diplomatic efforts to counter China's proactive behavior through legal channels and international forums. This highlights the Philippines' dedication to maintaining the rule of law and defending its interests in the face of external threats. More voices are increasingly joining the chorus of concern and opposition against China's territorial ambitions, particularly in light of its assertive actions in the South China Sea. These voices represent a diverse array of stakeholders, including neighboring countries, international partners, and global institutions, all expressing apprehension about China's expanding influence and aggressive behavior. Neighboring countries such as Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei have been vocal in expressing their concerns about China's expansive maritime claims and encroachments in the South China Sea. They have raised objections to China's construction of artificial islands, militarization of disputed features, and violations of their exclusive economic zones. Vietnam, for instance, has pursued diplomatic and legal avenues to challenge China's actions, while the Philippines has sought international arbitration to uphold its maritime rights. Outside the region, major powers like the United States, Japan, Australia, and European nations have also voiced opposition to China's territorial ambitions and maritime assertiveness. These countries have conducted freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, issued statements of support for affected countries, and imposed sanctions on Chinese entities engaged in destabilizing activities. Moreover, international bodies such as the United Nations, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, and the European Union have issued statements calling for peaceful resolution of disputes, adherence to international norms, and respect for freedom of navigation and overflight in the South China Sea. As these voices continue to grow in opposition, they play a crucial role in shaping the future trajectory of maritime affairs in the Indo-Pacific region. The diminishing of gray zones in geopolitics is increasingly evident through efforts to address long-standing disputes and ambiguities using diplomatic channels, legal mechanisms, and confidence-building measures. A prominent example is the resolution of maritime disputes in the South China Sea. Historically, overlapping territorial claims and strategic interest among countries like China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia created significant gray areas in the region. However, recent bilateral negotiations, multilateral dialogues within ASEAN, and the 2016 arbitration ruling in favor of the Philippines against China have helped clarify maritime boundaries and reduce uncertainties. The ruling invalidated many of China's expansive claims, providing legal clarity on disputed features and maritime entitlements. Similarly, territorial disputes have been resolved through bilateral agreements and confidence-building measures. India and Bangladesh successfully resolved their maritime boundary dispute through arbitration, leading to the delineation of exclusive economic zones, EEZs, and the resolution of overlapping claims. Japan and Russia have engaged in diplomatic negotiations over the Kuril Islands, exploring joint economic activities and confidence-building measures to reduce tensions. Efforts to enhance maritime security cooperation and promote transparency have also contributed to diminishing gray zones. Initiatives like the Code for Unplanned Encounters at Sea, CUES, adopted by navies in the Asia-Pacific region, aim to prevent incidents at sea through standardized communication and maneuvering procedures. Additionally, initiatives such as the Maritime Security Initiative, MSI, and the Indian Ocean Naval Symposium, IONS, facilitate information sharing and collaboration among navies to address common security challenges and build trust. While gray zones may persist in some regions, these examples highlight how diplomatic efforts and confidence-building measures are reducing uncertainties and mitigating the risk of conflict in geopolitically sensitive areas. As countries continue to engage in dialogue and cooperation, there is potential for further diminishing gray zones and promoting stability and security in contested areas. The Philippines holds a crucial position in the geopolitical landscape of the Asia-Pacific region, especially in relation to China's aspirations concerning Taiwan. Its strategic location serves as a potential bottleneck that could hinder China's military and economic operations. For example, approximately 60 large crude oil carriers, fully loaded, traverse daily between the Persian Gulf and Chinese ports, transporting about half of the oil that fuels the world's second-largest economy. These tankers are vulnerable when crossing the Indian Ocean, a naval theater under U.S. dominance. In a significant conflict, Chinese oil tankers in the Indian Ocean could find themselves in a precarious situation. The U.S. Department of Defense has identified 6 scenarios that could trigger China to initiate large-scale military action against Taiwan. These include a formal declaration of independence by Taiwan, an ambiguous move towards Taiwan's independence, internal instability within Taiwan, Taiwan acquiring nuclear weapons or initiating a program to develop one, indefinite postponement in the resumption of cross-strait dialogue on unification, and foreign military intervention in Taiwan's internal affairs. In a full-scale conflict, the tankers, capable of carrying 2 million barrels of oil, would be valuable assets to be seized or destroyed. In the event of a conflict between China and Taiwan, the Philippines' strategic location could serve as a potential choke point that could disrupt China's military and economic activities. The Philippines is the nearest country to Taiwan among the 5 Indo-Pacific allies of the United States. In the event of an invasion, the initial 48 hours are critical, as this is the period during which China would capitalize on its geographic proximity. And it would take some time before the American Navy Indo-Pacific Command, whether it's in Hawaii, Guam, or Japan, could respond to a major contingency. The Philippines could significantly alter China's calculations by simply monitoring Taiwan closely and serving as a lookout for its allies. Even without committing its own troops to such a conflict, if the Philippines, Japan, and the U.S. collaborate, there would be adequate preparation, a sufficient American forward deployment presence, and enough interoperability and potential coordination among the U.S. and its allies should an invasion occur. Furthermore, the Mutual Defense Treaty, MDT, between the Republic of the Philippines and the United States of America, signed on August 30th, 1951, mandates mutual support if either the Philippines or the United States were to be attacked. This treaty could potentially involve the U.S. in a conflict if China decides to invade Taiwan, adding complexity to China's plans. The potential for the Philippines to disrupt China's military and economic activities, coupled with the possibility of drawing the U.S. into a conflict, indeed makes it an Achilles heel in China's ambitious plans. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our in-depth analysis of global events. Your support keeps us going. Let's deeply analyze the world together.